I'm Josh Light with PoliticIt.com here in New Jersey with Patrick McKnight, who's running for Congress as a Libertarian candidate in District 7. How are you doing today, Patrick?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. So tell us the big differences between you and the competitors in this race.
The biggest difference is that I support the Constitution. I'm a strong supporter of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. I'm running against an individual who voted for the NDAA and the Patriot Act, which basically eviscerate the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And I think that the problem in America today is that we've lost our freedom. That's our founding principle. That's what made our country great. And we're not going to return to greatness until we restore the Constitution and the principles that we were founded on.
Now, we were looking at your IT score, which measures digital influence, and you have a pretty high IT score for a Libertarian candidate. Why is it that people are talking about you a lot online?
Well, I don't think it even has anything to do with me as an individual. I think it's just my message. My message is freedom, personal empowerment, and sound money. And that's a great message. That's what this country was founded on. That message sells itself. And the reason why it's so active on the internet is because libertarians are shut out of the mainstream media, of television, and the print media, so the internet is our only refuge to express ourselves, and that's why you're seeing such an explosion of interest in the freedom movement online, and that's why you're seeing moves by the establishment to curb free speech online.
And how has your experience prepared you for Congress?
Again, I have a very different set of experiences than the average politician. I come from a working class background. After I graduated from Rutgers University, I moved to Camden to teach high school social studies and history and economics. I'm a farmer. I work as a landscaper. So I don't have to try to represent the people. I don't need to put on a front or use buzzwords because I am one of the people. And so I understand what the problems are. And the problems are we have a $16 trillion debt. And people are concerned about that. People understand that's a huge problem. People understand that we've lost the Constitution, and because I've lived in the real world, I'm the only candidate in this race that even has real world experience. My opponent, Mr. Lance, has never had a real job. So I don't think he's qualified to do much of anything, let alone represent us in Congress.
When you're walking around in District 7 and you're talking to people, what issues, fiscal issues, are they really concerned about here?
People are so concerned about the debt. People understand. People live in the real world. If you have a household that's in debt or a business that's in debt, that's a real problem. So when you have a government that's $16 trillion in debt, a sum that's impossible to repay, especially with compound interest, people are realizing that our country is insolvent, and all the actions taken by the Fed are band-aids to kick the can down the road. But by doing that, they make things worse. And people understand that. They understand we have real fiscal problems in this country, and more the same is not the solution. More the same is the problem. We need to stop the spending. We need to stop the wars that don't benefit the average American at all, but cost us trillions of dollars, because pretty soon we're going to have a crisis in our bond market. We're as in debt as Greece is, but we have a Federal Reserve that can print money. And that will only take us so far. Pretty soon, the free market will dictate what our own government will not, which is that we are insolvent, and that's going to be a serious problem for every American. And what I'm saying is, let's take care of our problems now before they get any worse, so we don't just throw them into the laps of our children, because that's totally unfair.
In District 7, what social issues are people concerned about?
You know, District 7 is in the western part of the state. I think it's the most beautiful part of the state. It's very rural, a lot of farmers like me. We're concerned about the Second Amendment. We've seen a lot of moves by the UN, for example, this summer, and by the federal government to try to demonize gun owners. And, you know, someone like me, I'm not a gun nut. I'm not crazy about guns, but I need guns on my farm. I can't produce food if I can't use guns to take care of, you know, things. If I let a groundhog eat my whole crop, I'm out of a job as a farmer. But now everyone who has a gun is bad, is a terrorist, and that's extremely disturbing to see people villainized for being patriotic Americans and reading the Constitution. Now we're supposed to be these extremists. I mean, if we're extremists, what does that make Barack Obama?
And what about social media? How are you using social media in your race?
I'm using it very actively. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, and I've gotten a huge response. I'm almost want to say I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised because people, especially in New Jersey, are ready for the message of freedom. We have the highest taxes, we have the most oppressive state government, and people here are sick of it. And we're standing right now in Trenton at the crossroads of the American Revolution. I mean, if it wasn't for the battles of Trenton, Princeton, and Monmouth, we'd be British subjects today. And I think that people in New Jersey understand their history. They understand where we're at historically. It's a very bad place, and we're at a crossroads, and we have to make a decision. And the people of New Jersey want to be free, just like people everywhere else.
How's your campaign going right now?
It's going great. Everywhere I go, I get a ton of support, and I talk to people one-on-one. I'm real with them, and I say, you know, our number one problem is we've lost the rule of law. The Constitution is our rule of law. And once you've lost that, you've lost the basic underpinning of society. We have our former governor, John Corzine, stole $1.6 billion from segregated funds. I mean, that's blatant. He didn't get in any trouble because he has the right political connections. Whereas if the average person goes to protest the Federal Reserve and they step off the sidewalk, they could get beaten up by a cop. But he can steal $1.6 billion. So we've lost the rule of law. People understand that. We have an unfair system. We have two sets of laws, one for the people at the top and one for everyone else. And that's feudalism. That's what this country was founded to oppose. And so I've gotten a huge response because people understand. People love the Constitution. And anyone who says otherwise is just not paying attention.
Where can people go to learn more about you, Patrick?
You can check me out on my website, McKnight2012.com. You can find me on Facebook, McKnight for Congress, Twitter. And I just want to say thank you for everyone's support. It's been overwhelming.
Thanks for meeting with us today.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.